Well, he was snubbed. I think we all know that this happened because Nick needs to keep his hands off of everything, okay? And Ian Rappaport had his information on the Nick Sirianni situation, an update from Diana Rossini, and a lot more going on with this team to where maybe Jeffrey Lurie is starting to take a turn.
We better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today, and only a few days into the Eagles, technically their off season and what's going on. We're going to kind of continue off of yesterday, but there's a lot of leaks, a lot of stuff that's been said around the league, especially by Rappaport, and a few others on the situation with Nick Sirianni and where the direction of this coaching staff is going to be. I don't care about the roster right now. The roster is what it is. But you got to have this blueprint of somewhat of a plan, to get this team in the right direction before you start working on your roster and what fits the scheme. And you have to work from the outside going in. And that's how I've been thinking about it the whole entire time. Now, obviously, we got news the other day from Diana Rossini that, Nick and Howie are going out to get a potential plan in place. There was no meeting with Jeffrey Lurie at all. The update was says though this may suggest that Nick Sirianni is safe. I'm told that he has not met with owner Jeffrey Lurie, something that was not possible today because of logistical issues. Until that meeting happens, all bets are off. So the rumor is right now is that, maybe Jeff had a quick conversation, not an official meeting, and said, hey, you guys go out there, give me a plan, bring it back to me, and we will see what happens in this official meeting. And I think that's where it is. There hasn't been anything official about Nick being the head coach or anything like that. This Jeffrey Lurie is taking his time, which I was hoping that he was going to take his time because 3-4 days into the offseason and Nick was the head coach already and they're going out getting coordinators. It just confused me the other day. But updated for that, even going to our next segment here, there's executives. There was an executive in the league talked about the situation with Nick and says, asked a longtime NFL executive to explain this take on Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, says it all comes down to what Nick's able to lay out to Jeffrey Lurie. What's my path on getting back to the Super Bowl? Who are my coordinators? Who are my top assistants? What went wrong this season? I think most people believe Doug Peterson would be kept before he met with their owner, so we'll see. Then Ian Rappaport had some things to say about the whole entire situation as well, and you obviously have to take his information, with some clarity a little bit. Says the latest report from Rapsheet isn't too unexpected, but it's worth reading. It seems like the Eagles will give Nick Sirianni the same ultimatum that they gave Doug Peterson. While Peterson wasn't willing to make drastic changes to his coaching staff, Sirianni likely knows he needs to embrace huge change if he wants to stick around. It says, quote unquote, Sirianni was expected to present his plan for the future to Lurie during the meeting, which should include staff changes at defensive coordinator and potentially offensive coordinator. As well, Rappaport reported, if Sirianni is open to such changes, he will likely stay as Eagles coach. But if Lurie doesn't approve of Sirianni's plan, a different outcome could result. So there you have it. There it is. Jeffrey Lurie is wanting drastic changes. And if the rumors about Doug Peterson and all Doug Peterson wanted to do was upgrade, promote from within, make Press Taylor his offensive coordinator, and just up, because all I would think about the last couple days was, Nick's going to hire Kevin Patullo as the OC. Nick's going to keep Matt Patricia as the DC. I mean, it's just, and Nick has to, and I'm hoping this involves Howie, which it does involve him to a point where if they hire an absolute big name coach at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, whether it's, Ron Rivera or Wink Martindale at defensive coordinator, or you're going to go with Solik or Frank Reich or something like that at offensive coordinator, we'll see what happens when the time comes. But this seems like Jeffrey Lurie wants massive change. Okay. And if Nick doesn't get the right coaches, even if Nick goes out there and hires some guys, okay? Now, it's not like Nick didn't hire somebody outside the organization, because other than Nick Sirianni being hired as the head coach, he hired his own coaching staff. Sean Desai was just an assistant with Seattle, was a apprentice under Vic Fangio as a defensive quality control guy for a few years, and then became the Bears defensive coordinator in 2021. So, sometimes just hiring outside the organization, they have to be good moves. They can't just be, let's just hire this guy because he'll listen to what I want to run for the defense and what I want to run for the Brian Johnson was here last year. He'll listen to me. Sean Desai, he'll listen to me. The panic move to fire Sean Desai, really not fire him, but put him to the booth and upgrade to Matt Patricia, which made everything worse. It was a panic move. It was a scapegoat type move to take more pressure off Nick. And that's where this whole thing went. So, from what it sounds like, okay, Nick Sirianni needs to do some soul searching within himself as a coach from last year, okay? And what went wrong? And just like this report says, what went wrong last year? What could I have done better? And I think, Jeffrey Lurie is giving Nick an ultimatum and giving him a chance and not firing him immediately, because his disgust looking down on that field in Tampa Bay meant a lot of things. And I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I thought Nick was going to get fired immediately, but that didn't happen. So I think some of the players do respect Nick. I think the veterans do. I don't know how the rest of the roster feels at this point, but the roster was crying for help for the last 7 weeks, really the whole season. And nothing changed. No adjustments, no nothing. So Jeffrey Lurie is giving Nick the opportunity to go out there with Howie Roseman and go hire and interview, okay, legit OCs and DCs that I'm hoping to God that are not the biggest names, but a good track record, and not a guy that's never been an OC. You know what I mean? I don't care about guys that never been an OC or DC or anything like that, but I think that because this roster is so good, especially offensively and defensively, they need to change the way they draft. We'll get into all that stuff. I get it, but you need a more aggressive style defense. You can't run this, this bend don't break system anymore. And offensively, there's no excuse for what you have, and to have 2 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard running back the last couple seasons, and this year having that and literally do nothing with it. Not using players to their strengths, not putting the best players in the right positions to be successful and win football games. So maybe Jeffrey Lurie is changing his ways, or maybe he's been trying to change his ways. But they hired a new coach in Nick Sirianni a couple years ago. They gave him some control to hire his own staff, and Nick completely failed at it. That's how I pretty much looked at it. And Nick said, they had all the trust in Nick to hire his own staff, and it failed. So now Jeffrey Lurie is in control of this situation now and saying, well, I'm going to take a look at who you hire, and if I don't like them, if I don't like your valiant plan of what you want to do with this franchise, bye-bye, see you later. That's where this whole situation is going. So definitely a lot here to dive into, but I think there's good things to take from it. And, if it's Rappaport saying this, then it's definitely got it holds a lot of water. So I think I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that things are going to change drastically, but I think it's heading in the right direction. As long as Nick's not hired immediately, I don't care. But for Nick to prove himself on who he can hire, I haven't heard one rumor on an interview yet. I've heard nothing yet. Until I see a name and say, holy shit, look at this name. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. So we'll see what happens in the coming days, coming weeks, however this process is going to take. Eagles are out of the playoffs early. They get knocked out the first round. So they have a lot of extra time before technically the new league offseason year begins for every team. So get ahead of the ball game and get your shit done. You know what I mean? So let's, seriously. Now, the next thing, leaks and leaks and leaks. And this is another Nick Sirianni issue that led to Dennard Wilson, the cornerback coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, which was one of the highest, defenses against the pass last year, a top 10 defense against the pass last year. And, you know, a lot of rumors are, a lot of leaks are coming out on this situation, why Dennard Wilson is gone. And obviously, Slay had a lot to say about it. Marcus Hayes, not the best reporter, but at least if he puts a name to something, then I could believe it. That Sirianni snubbed him out of a job, that Dennard Wilson should have had the DC job this year, no doubt. Should have kept him. Okay. And, Slay talked about, how hard it was this year, that when you had to deal with two different coordinators, it was like dealing with being in two different marriages, in a jokingly type of way. Giving really no respect to what's been going on with the situation on why Sirianni fired, Dennard Wilson. And a lot of the players, not just Slay, a lot of players were saying that, they really liked Dennard a lot. They really, really liked him. I've seen some videos of Dennard with the Eagles, and he was a really fired up coach. And I feel like he would have brought a defensive style. And because Nick knows that Dennard was going to take control 100% of the defense, and because he's a pushback type of coach, and he's an ego coach, a good ego coach that runs his own shit, that's going to get the job done, Nick said, nope, you're fired. I'm going to hire somebody I can control, which is Sean Desai, that literally just got hired to get a bigger paycheck. So, this just, it's kind of crazy. It's crazy how all this thing, all of, these things happen. Then you don't go with Dennard Wilson. He goes to the Ravens. He's fantastic over there. Now we're looking more stupid. The more players that leave and play elsewhere and play well, coaches leave here, play elsewhere, coach elsewhere and do well. I'm tired of this shit. Really tired of it. If Nick's holding this much water over these coaches and he had this much control, shame on you, Howie Roseman. Shame on you. Dennard Wilson, probably should have been the DC, and multiple players have been complaining that this obviously this defense was a complete shambles. I mean, Desai coached better than Matt Patricia. I'll give him a little round of applause, but let's not give him a medal for it. But you're giving up 27 yards with Matt Patricia to Desai's 22, giving up more yardage, Matt Patricia, more plays over the top of Matt Patricia. And the Eagles, obviously injuries at the end of the year didn't really help at safety in certain positions throughout the whole entire year either. But this is a coaching problem. This is a Nick Sirianni in control problem. Dennard Wilson was fired. I'll say this for the second time. Dennard Wilson was fired because he was a pushback coach that would take control over the whole defense 100%. And Nick didn't want that. So now Jeffrey Lurie is putting the clause into this situation, and this is why we're not going anywhere. This is why even if we get good talent, it's not going to go anywhere, and I really hope that things do change. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what's going to happen, but Brian Johnson has got a fourth interview already. Okay, now with the Atlanta Falcons that has already been done with, so obviously, Brian Johnson doesn't know. I don't know if he's going to get a head coaching job. It doesn't matter. They're just going to let him go regardless. If they're looking for two new coordinators, Brian Johnson is probably gone. But there are rumors right now for Brian Johnson that there is rumors right now with Brian Johnson that he will stay with the Eagles, but in a different position. I don't know if it's going to be quarterback coach or maybe an offensive assistant or something like that, but there is rumors right now that there is a chance that Brian Johnson will stay. I don't know if he'll get a head coaching job. There's just way too much competition out there. And, we haven't seen everybody knows a lot around the league how the Eagles run things and know that Brian Johnson does not game plan for this team, and that is 100% true. So when I see all these big Eagles accounts that are tweeting stuff out like, oh, Brian Johnson's got to go, and everyone's like putting like gifs of like people celebrating or something, it's just like I don't think people actually know like who the real problem is here. And it's actually really sad at times, you know? So that's all I got to say on that situation. So at the end of the day, between all the reports we've seen, especially the valuable report from Rapsheet, Jeffrey Lurie is going to say, hey, you come up with a plan, you bring it to me, we'll have an official meeting. And if I'm not agreeing to it, I'm done. I don't know if he's putting Howie on the spot as well. I mean, Howie's not going anywhere, but like, you two work together, get a really good plan together, bring it to me, and we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, it will be in search of a new head coach. I think Nick's got to change his ways. The organization's got to change his ways. And I think Jeffrey Lurie is taking that control away from Nick, that he's not hiring his own guys anymore. Simple as that. And if the rumors are true that, this was the same thing that happened to Doug Pearson. Doug was like, hey, I'm not hiring anybody outside the organization. I want to put up Press Taylor. I want to bring up a couple guys and promote them. And, Jeffrey Lurie said, nah, I'm not into that. I want some new blood in the building. Maybe Jeffrey Lurie's starting to turn a corner right now. Maybe he's really, really starting to be like, yo, I'm the fucking boss, and this is what I'm going to do. I hope that's the case. We need an owner that gives a fuck. And I think he does. And I understand he's 72, 73 years old. He's a lot older. I get it. But things have to change. Let me know what you guys think about the Rappaport. Just in general, just with this whole entire thing with Nick Sirianni. Who do you think he's going to hire? Do you think the plan he brings to Jeffrey Lurie is going to amaze him and keep Nick in Philadelphia a lot longer as the head coach? And do you think Jeffrey Lurie is starting to see things differently? You guys let me know in the comment section below. If you guys haven't, subscribe to the channel for more updates every single day, and like the video for more content. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks up, false life. Peace out, guys. Base.